Good job. Well, the third season in Iowa couldn't have gone much better for us. Nick and Ted both tagged out, had a couple of great hunts. But right now, I'm on my way back to my hometown in Nebraska. I'm gonna edit Ted's hunt while I'm there, and in between editing, maybe try to get out a couple mornings, see if I can get a gobbler there with a shotgun. You know, back in late March, I hunted there with my dad for a few days, bow hunted. We had one good hunt. The first day, I filmed my dad shoot a gobbler, and from there on, it was cold and snowy. Birds were really grouped up, really shut down. But now here we are, almost a month later. Conditions are totally different, starting to green up a little bit. The birds are breaking up from that big winter flock. They're starting to spread out more throughout the property. And it should be a completely different hunt than from back in late March when they're running in one big group. And I'll be using a shotgun, running and gunning instead of being in the blind. The birds are more vocal throughout the day, more callable, and got several days of good weather coming up before I head back to Iowa to film Ted for fourth season. So I should roll in just in time to get out, get up on a high ridge and try to get eyes on and ears on birds and put them to roost tonight and come up with a game plan for the morning. All right, well, we got a second longbeard in the mix here. Big old paintbrush and a beard. Wow, he's just turning it up, scratching in the corn and the beans. I mean, seriously, big old paintbrush. Well, it looks like they're going up to roost right where I thought they would. Those turkeys love to cross right there where that berm kind of plays out. There's a little bit of a pinch point right there. We see them do that a lot. In fact, we've shot a number of birds right on that point right there. You know, sometimes just on natural movement, sometimes using a decoy. Now it looks like the Jakes and the Tom are getting into it. Quick fight before fly up. And they're going up to roost in a spot where we've seen them roost quite a bit in the past, up in that cove right there. And that will probably be where I start in the morning unless I hear or see birds in another spot. There's Longbeard. I can see him strutting up on the limb. So hens right there, Longbeard right there, more hens right there, and then there's a few other birds that I could see there. So there's more in this group than I thought there was. It sounds like there's a gobbler in that group as well. So I'll probably be somewhere right in between, maybe on the end of that berm where those birds cross. I think there's a good chance that they'll just pitch down into that cove and just work their way out into the field, or at least that would be the hope. There we go, it's next morning. As you can see, I've got some cedar branches that I'm taking in with me here. And my plan is to set up on the backside of that berm that those birds crossed last night. And one of the longbeards is roosted back up above that cove for sure. So I think there's a good chance that those birds are gonna cross right back through there to go out to the main part of the field this morning. There's a bunch of small trees on that berm, but I don't know that they're big enough to hide me. So I'm bringing some cover in with me and just kind of, you know, lay in ambush basically. And I've done that a couple of times before and had success that way. Usually it's been later in the spring when there's a little bit more vegetation on. There's not much right now, so that's hence the cedar branches. I'm gonna get in there while it's still plenty dark and see what I can figure out for a setup. action this morning. Turkeys all around me, but no shot. I thought for sure it was gonna happen. I set up, anticipating that he would come down through here this morning following those hens. Had hens pitch over me, and then all the other turkeys to the north of me pitched out into the field and were out behind me. Got together in a big group. Finally, he came into view, strutting, bright red and white head, sun hitting him, just beautiful. And he was with a hen. That's what held him up. And I thought for sure that hen would bring him right down here within range. But as it turned out, that hen had somewhere else in mind she wanted to go, and the tom just followed her. Well, the field is pretty much cleared out now. Everything's kind of moved off. You know, there's a bunch of little groups of turkeys. There's several lone toms that have moved off, but I want to let everything clear out here before I get up and move. That way I don't spook anything. But the setup worked out pretty well on this berm. And I think the big key for not spooking any turkeys was having the drape set up behind me and some branches for back cover. And even though I didn't get a shot, these turkeys are none the wiser. All right, coming out for a midday hunt here. It is straight up noon right now. So what my plan is for the next couple of hours is just to, I've already called from this high point here, from this high ridge, trying to strike a bird on either side. Nothing has responded. So what I'm gonna do now is drop down this ridge and get to where I can watch over the crop field. Middle part of the day like this, hopefully I can find a gobbler by himself. But oftentimes what we see is just, turkeys just come out of the timber into the field during the middle part of the day, scratch around, and then this east ridge is a spot that they like to loaf during the middle part of the day. And as you'll see as I get going here, it's just tore up with sign scratching. Made it down to the field here. As you can tell, there's construction going on over here, unfortunately. So this is that ridge I just came down. Like I said, this is just a good midday spot, and we consistently see turkeys come out across the field, work their way up into this timber. Another advantage about this spot is the way that the terrain sets up. There's this terrace right here along the edge of the field, and there's a bunch of thick cover I can use to move on turkeys as they come across the field. If I see birds, I'll call to them. That would be the ideal situation, is to get them to come to a spot, but that may be tough if they're with hens or with just how open it is out here. But if they do start coming over this way, I can adjust based on what direction they're going, using the terrain and the cover to sneak in close. Well, that's a good start. A couple of hens out across the field, back up in one of these coves. Looks like there was 2 or 3 of them. One of them is taking a dust bath. That's good. Hopefully there's some gobblers behind them. There we go. There's a longbeard. 2 longbeards. Got hens back up in one cove and gobblers up in the other, but both groups are working down towards the middle of the field here. That's good. That's definitely what I wanted to see. Try to get their attention before they see those hens. I don't know that it's going to matter. They're probably going to meet up with them at some point anyways, but we'll try it. They don't seem to have any interest in the call. They're just kind of pale-headed, feeding, but they are headed in this direction. Almost like they read the script. I think while they're far enough away, I'm going to move up, get on the backside of this berm, and that way, if they do come over here, depending on what direction they go, I can move on them. Right now they're heading straight at me. They're slowly working this way. Hens are working their way across the field too. The gobblers are coming pretty much on a straight line at me. About 150, 175 yards, something like that. They're about 100 yards now.
They're starting to drift towards those hens a little bit. The hens are 150 yards to the south of me, angling up towards the timber, and gobblers are just starting to angle that way too a little bit. I think I'm gonna have to start shading that way. About 80, 90 yards away right now. I've been in the same spot feeding for a while. One gobbler has moved a little bit more to the left towards those hens. This other one is straight down below me. One tom and two hens are off to my left, almost up into the corner. This other tom is more straight out. I mean, he's feeding to the right, and then he'll turn back to the left, and then he'll work straight towards me. But I'd imagine he's going to end up following the rest of the group. They're still far enough away. I'm going to drop back behind this terrace again and move and try to get up even. They're going to be close to within range. Yes, got him. Oh, more turkeys. Oh, looks like a bunch of jakes. I didn't even know they were there. Acting like they're gonna come in and flog the dead bird. Oh, that worked out perfect. That worked out perfect, moving in on them. That's exactly what I talked about earlier, is just using this terrain and all this cover. And I was able to move along the backside of this terrace and just trying to keep pace with them. They actually, those two hens and the tom, were starting to get ahead of me a ways. And their other tom was off to my right, acting like he was gonna come up into the timber. So I was kind of trying to split the difference between them, between the two toms. And then finally, the tom to my right started angling up towards the group, and he got right up to the edge of the timber. I had a heck of a time filming him as he was moving right to left in front of me here. It was kind of thick and the sun is shining down on the LCD, so it made it hard to see. I don't know what I got for footage of him. I think he was, I had him in frame when I shot, probably not much of him, but I know he was in there. But at that point, it's like, it was now or never. I had to raise up a little bit to shoot above some brush. At that point, he saw me and was looking. Thankfully, I had enough of a shooting lane that I was able to take the shot. But it's fun to call him in. Having him come in gobbling and strutting, I mean, that's usually what a person dreams of. But sometimes in a situation like this, I mean, that was about my only option, was to just move on him, try to get ahead of him and cut him off as they were coming back up into the timber, because I was calling at them and they didn't have any interest in it. I mean, they were with hens. Either way, gobbler down. Here he is. Oh, look at that. Multiple beards, triple beard. No kidding. Big old paintbrush and a couple smaller beards. First triple bearded turkey right there. How about that? Beautiful. As you can tell behind me here, you've probably heard in the video, there's a bunch of construction going on, a bunch of dirt work going on. They're putting a bypass road through
the north end of this property. And unfortunately, from the sounds of it, they're also going to take out a big chunk of that timber over there where the turkeys like to roost. If you watched the bow hunt that my dad and I had back in late March, that's where the turkeys were roosted. And from what I understand, they're taking about half of that timber out, unfortunately. So thankfully, though, the turkeys haven't been bothered too much by all that dirt work going on. I mean, obviously, they used to spend a lot of time feeding in that area, but clearly they're not doing that anymore with all the machinery over there. The only good thing about all that construction noise is every now and then you get a shot gobble out of all that. And one of the reasons I was, pretty motivated to try to get out and get another bird out here was that, this could possibly be the last year that we get to hunt this property. And this could very well be the last turkey that I ever get to shoot on this property. Thankfully, it hasn't totally displaced the turkeys, and we still have had some opportunity to hunt this spring. My dad got one with his bow. My nephew Cam got one with a shotgun during youth season, and I got my first triple bearded turkey ever. The fun thing is about having 30 plus years of memories of hunting out on these properties is that everywhere I look, about everywhere I go, there's some kind of memory associated with each little part of the property, going back from squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting, deer hunting, turkey hunting. We have 3 decades worth of memories of hunting out here with family and friends, and it's kind of sad from a personal perspective, losing hunting ground, but also, for the wildlife out here. Habitat loss is such a big reason that populations of certain species are declining, and for turkeys, that certainly is the case. That's part of it. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into that. Just had so much adventure as a kid out here, and now here we are 25, 30 years later, and it's sad to see all that slowly closing in, and now more rapidly closing in here in the last 10 years. One of the properties being chunked up and sold off, and houses being built. But like I said, can't just sit and dwell on that. Have to be thankful for all the memories that we've had out here, for myself, my family, and friends that we've brought out here hunting. If this is indeed the last turkey I get to shoot off this property, then it has been a memorable hunt and a memorable couple days here, and I'm going to sit here and enjoy this a little bit more, and got to get back to the house. Got more editing to do, and then I'm off to Iowa to film the guys during the 4th season.